Okay, let's do this. Chavra, let's read this. Page Samach. It's, I'm going to guesstimate 11 lines from the bottom. 13 lines from the bottom. Now there's really nothing to be said. All you gotta do is read. Because in this shtickle, you see what I've been telling you in the last couple of days. Now, how did I know what to tell you in the last couple of days? Because I had prepared it. In other words, what the Rebbe is doing is that he's showing or insisting. This is a funny thing to say. It's so funny, but this is what he's saying. That the RaMbaM does not mean what he says. And he doesn't say what he means. When you learn Hilchos Yesod Yatera, like we did, I gave you these pages. And you learn Perek Aleph Halacha Zayin. Right? Does anybody still remember this sheet? I gave it to you last week. Do you have these sheets? Remember this sheet? The RaMbaM says, Elokah ze echadu. This God is one. V'le'ein shnayim, and he's not two. V'le'yesar shnayim, he's not more than two. Elokah, he's only one. She'ein ki yichudei echad min ha'achadim anem toim ba'elam. And the nature of his oneness has no equal in the world. Lo echad b'min, v'lo echad b'guf, ele yichud, she'ein yichud achad chameisa ba'elam, a union of which there is no types like it in the world. And then the RaMbaM starts to say philosophy, if there be many gods, it would have to have a guf, and so on and so forth. When you read this entire, and he finishes this halacha zayin with the words, v'yediyas davazem mitzvah saseh, knowing this is a commandment that's positive, shenem ad Hashem elokah tzimchad. When you read this halacha zayin, it's clear that the RaMbaM holds that mitzvah's achdas Hashem is that there's only one God. And one doesn't only mean one as opposed to two, but that he doesn't have parts, doesn't have arms and legs. The lashon that's brought in the Gimel Ikrim is ein le guf, he has no body. Ve'en le keach beguf. Keach beguf means even if he doesn't have a body, but he has body parts. Like a right side and a left side, the top and the bottom and the inside. And Hashem has no parts whatsoever. Perfect union. That's what says the RaMbaM. Says that Tzemach Tzedek, the RaMbaM doesn't say what he means, doesn't mean what he says. What's the hechrech of this? The hechrech is the yesod that I've been telling you about in every class since we started this. We haven't had too many. We've had, I think, 3 shiurim on this maimer so far. One was an introduction, and then we learned the chinuch, and then we learned zayar. That's all we had. Is that the Bahag, again, that the Bahag said in the beginning of the previous mitzvah, that there is no mitzvah to believe in God. The mitzvah is to understand Him. The first mitzvah. Once you know that the first mitzvah is to understand Hashem, included in understanding Hashem, but there is only one. No, so what's the second mitzvah? So that Tzemach Tzedek says you have to say Pshat and RaMbaM. The RaMbaM doesn't say it. That the second mitzvah is not about Hashem, it's about Hashem's relationship with the world. So let's read it inside. What we understand from the aforementioned Zehars. We're 13 lines from the bottom of page Samach. Shem mitzvah sayichod, that the mitzvah of achdas Hashem is not to understand Hashem in one way or another, but leida sheshem Hashem hu echad im shem Elokim, that the Eibishter's name Havaya and the Eibishter's name Elokim are one. Now, what does Havaya hu Elokim have to do with achdos? We learned in the previous maimer of Yadaita Moskva, and we're going to be learning it again by Arichos in this maimer. We had it in the earlier maimer by Arichos, and we're going to have it now again. That Havaya Elokim means that the concealment is not a concealment, that the world is not a world, that really the Eibishter is revealed through the world, and so forth and so on. So we'll see in the maimer how the Rebbe explains the Zohars Havaya Elokim. But one thing is certain, Achdas Hashem doesn't mean there's one God. It means that there's a oneness about the relationship between Eibishter and the world, ukafi sheyizbaya lakama. Now the Rebbe brings a dugma. When you talk about Havaya Elokim, it's similar to another concept in Kabbalah. What is the second concept in Kabbalah? The second concept in Kabbalah is called Inyan Shiluv Havaya Ba'adnai or Adnai Ba'havaya. It's the idea of fusing, of joining together Havaya in Adnai, or joining together Adnai in Havaya. You know, we don't see this much because we're not Sfardim. But one of the places where we would see this would be in the Tikkun Lil Shvuos. There's no Chabad Tikkun Lil Shvuos. Or maybe there is, I don't know. It's a Machlekes HaPoskim. But Chabad, we always done for regular Tikkun Lil Shvuos. So Tikkun Lil Shvuos is divided up into sections. You have Sefer Bereishis, Sefer Shmei, Sefer Iker, and then you have Zroyim, Me'ed, Noshim, Likim, Kochim, Talis, the Sefer of the Nevi'im, Tsiurem, and so on. So between each section there'll be a name of the Eibishter. And it's a configuration that you don't recognize. So there's all different kinds of configurations. It's basically writing out shemis based on certain codes, based on certain klalim. And sometimes you'll see this. Yud, Aleph, K, Dalet, Vav, Nun, K, Yud. Sometimes you'll see Aleph, Yud, Dalet, K, Nun, Vav, and Yud, K. It's basically taking Shem Havaya has 4 letters, Shem Adna has 4 letters, and staggering them. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. The Shaila is only which comes first. In one Shiluv, the first letter is a Yud, that means Shem Havaya is the first letter, then comes an Aleph, then comes a K, and then comes a Dalet, and then comes a Vav, and then comes a Nun, and then comes a K, and then comes a Yud. Or forget, the first ace is the Aleph. So then it'll be Aleph, which is from Adnai, then you'll have Yud, and then you'll have Dalet, and then you'll have K, and then you'll have Nun, and then you'll have Vav, and then you'll have Yud, and then you'll have K. So the rule is this. Ois Harishin Goyver. When you ever do a Shiluv, a fusion of 2 Shemes, the letter that comes first is dominant. Beklal in Teira and in Kabbalah, the Reish HaTev is the most important thing always. In a person's name, it says in Tanya Richa V'Amuna, you're Ois Harishin, yeah? Your name is Yud Mechol, so when you're named, the dominant ace is Yud. My name is Yosef Yitzchak, so in my name, the dominant ace is Yud. Your name is Meir Zev, so in your name, the dominant ace is Mem. Your name is Yosef Yitzchak HaKoyen, the dominant name in your name is Yosef Yitzchak. A lot of Yuds and a lot of Mems. Menachem Mendel, the Shin. It's all good to name. Chaim, Yankov Yosef, Moshe. Okay, Avram Baruch, Aleph. So now, wait. So the rule is the Eis Harishin gave it. So how does this work? Havaya represents Ein Seif. Havaya represents Polygamal. Havaya represents the miracle. Adnai is low even than Alakim. Adnai is even lower than Alakim. Adnai represents concealment. So if you have first a Yud and then an Aleph, it's called Shiluv Adnai Behavaya. You're putting Adnai into Havaya. Shiluv Adnai Havaya means bringing Teva into Nes, taking the world and raising it up into Nes. Shiluv Adnai Behavaya, so Havaya is Eis Harishin gave it. So the Yud Havaya is Einifat Gilia Lakus. So Shiluv Adnai Behavaya means how the world is lost in godliness. But then there's also Shiluv Havaya Be'adnai. How you put Havaya into Adnai. When you're putting Havaya into Adnai, Aleph is the Eis Harishin gave it, is the Aleph. So then you're saying how Gilia Lakus, how the miracle is lost in Teva. You understand? So you have this concept of Shiluv, fusing names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and based on the way the names are fused, it means different ideas in Pnimiyas HaTeira, in Chochmas HaKabbalah, in Chochmas HaTeira. So the Rebbe says, just like Shiluv Havaya Ba'adnai, Adnai Ba'avaya has certain Kabbalistic significance, the same is true when you say Havaya Ulakim. So the Rebbe says, Shehem Korav Linyazeh. Look inside, please, 11 lines from the bottom. It's close to this idea. Because Ki, Shem Adnai Hu, Badrega Achasim Shem Elakim, the Tzemach Tzedek generalizes. He says the Eibish's name Adnai and the Eibish's Shem Elakim are similar in their basic definition, that they represent Hester, and as the Meir keeps pointing out, but it's not Hester Amiti. So, but close, it's the same thing.
What does Elakim represent?
There's a difference between Elakim and Adnai. It's too involved for this conversation right now. But one of the differences would be that Shem Adnai would be the Elikus of Kelim itself, the godliness of the Keli, and Elikim would be the Keli which covers over the Oir. So Elikim has the Shaykhis more with Oir, and Adnai the Shaykhis more with Keli. I'm not sure about this, but I have certain Echochas, I have certain Rayas, but in Hishtalshlus, Elikim is Gevura and Adnai is Malchus. The 10 Sfiris, Havaya is Tiferes, Elikim is Gevura. Adnai is Malchus. So the Rebbe says, Ki Shem Adnai hu b'madrega achdam Shem Elakim. So therefore, just like you've heard in other Shiurim, Yabed and Sharichat B'Perek Zayin, there's a Shiluv Havaya ba'adnai, means the godliness is concealed. Shiluv Adnai b'Havaya means the world is raised up into godliness. The same is true of Havaya Elakim. So what's the Rebbe trying to say? The Rebbe is trying to say, understand that the Zohar does not say that Achdus Hashem means Hashem is one. No. The Zayah means, Achdus Hashem means that there's a unity in how the Eibishter's relationship with the world is, as represented by the terminology Havayu Alakim, or Shiluv Adnai B'Havaya, and so forth. And the Rebbe says, just like we know that the Zayah, Pnimiyas HaTeira, says that Mitzvah's Achdus doesn't mean there's only one God, because that's included in Yediyah. Achdus means there's a unity in Hashem's relationship with the world, which is called Havayu Alakim. we're going to say the same thing in RaMbaM. Let's read it inside. The pshat is, I think I'm 11 lines from the bottom at the end of the line. Now the words milashon RaMbaM are the first words on the line. When you look at the words of the RaMbaM superficially, bebi'er mitzvah zu, in explaining the second mitzvah, which is achdos. Now, Rabbi, I want to remind you, on the previous page, the Rebbe quoted it. The Chinuch quoted it, but on the previous page, the RaMbaM that we quoted was from Sefer HaMitzvahs. Now we're quoting a RaMbaM from Sefer Hayad. When you look at the wording of the RaMbaM, in explaining this mitzvah, and Rabbi said, explaining this mitzvah means Peilek Alaf Halacha Zayin. In Hilchos Seder Atera, which is the second mitzvah, Shehi Emunah Shu Yisbarach Echad. It's the imun, it's the focus, as Hashem is one. Ve'einei murkav b'shum kochnius chas v'shalom, is not made of any individual powers, God forbid. V'kein move on, so is understood. B'mashikoso b'chiburi hagodol, as the RaMbaM writes in his great masterful work, Perek Aleph Mehilchos Seder Atera Halacha Zayin, which we read last week on Thursday. And what are the words of the RaMbaM? This God is one. Please look inside. It's not the pshat that he's one because he has only one body, because a body after all has parts, sections, and even if all the material of the body is made from one stuff, it has sides. There's no oneness like the one of the Eibishter at all. So the Rebbe says, when you read the RaMbaM bepashtus, here you see what the Tzemach Tzedek is doing. When you read the RaMbaM bepashtus, the RaMbaM says that the second mitzvah, achdos havaya, is that Hashem is one. So the Tzemach Tzedek says, it is so hard to understand. Tzemach Tzedek says, the RaMbaM does not mean what he says. Look at the next words. Uba emes, 7 lines from the bottom. Please look inside. Zeh, the idea that Hashem is one and not two, and that he has no body, there's a body like parts. Nichlal b'mitzvahs hamanas elekus, is included in the first mitzvah. Now, every single time you say hamanas elekus, what do you got to do? Okay, you're all right, but what do I want you to say right now? Every time it says the word hamanas elekus, what do you have to say? Fine, but what did it say in the previous Maimer? That it's Yediyah, not Amunah. Right? So every time that Tzemach Tzedek says the word Hamonah, he means Hamonah as he understands Hamonah, which is Yediyah Havaya. Ube Emes Zeh. The idea that Hashem is one, that Hashem has no parts, which is Halacha Zayin, the wording of Halacha Zayin in Sefer Mishna Torah RaMbaM. Zeh nich mitzamas l'kut. The first mitzvah is to know Hashem intellectually. Lefi ma shebiyarnu taich. The way we explained it. This must be Yom Mizrachi. The Pirush must be a Pirush on RaMbaM. Shegam RaMbaM kavanasei. And the Ram writes that the RaMbaM also means that. The Ram writes that the RaMbaM also means that the first mitzvah, that Amanas Alakus as Yediyah, includes the idea that seems to be written in Perek Aleph Halacha Zayin about Achdus. Listen to this. It's saying this means as follows. If you go in the sheet, the 6 lines from the bottom of the page, that the first mitzvah, which is to believe in Hashem, is that there is a God. If the first mitzvah entails simply to know that there is a God, that Hashem exists, so then you could say, this second mitzvah, which is the mitzvah of Yichud, it's that Hashem is one. It's not like all other creations. They have at least a guf and a neshama, and so on. If the first mitzvah is, like the Bahag says, there is no mitzvah. If the first mitzvah is to simply to know that there is a God, what you would call in Rosh Hashanah Yediyas Mitzias HaMetzias, so then the second mitzvah could be that the Eibishter is one and has no parts. Avol says the Rebbe 4 lines from the bottom of the page at the end of the line, but Lefi mashin is bayir, based on what we explained. And we explained this not only in this mitzvah, we explained it in the beginning of Mitzvah Salakus. Shal metzias hakei leyitachin loshen amuna. You cannot say that the fact that there is a God is an infin amuna. The fact that there is a God is a dava so poshut that you can't even commend it. Now, of course, we discussed the Abar Ben El's loshen, right? Im naniach mitzias emunas mitzias akel mitzvah kfaram naniach emunas mitzias akel. If you accept that you have a mitzvah to believe in Hashem, that means you have to believe in Hashem before you believe in Hashem. So you should believe in Hashem to do the mitzvah of believing in Hashem. It's circular. But the Bahag, which is in Perek Aleph of the Hamanas Elikus, said it b'pashtus. There's no mitzvah to believe in Hashem. It's a davar push. No. But Bahag is a sefer of mitzvahs that predates the RaMbaM. And we assume that the RaMbaM knew about it. He disagrees with him. Alkot. He slugs him up. But the Bahag was from the Go'inim. You should know, I have a sefer in my house, which is the most gewaldige son ever bought. It's a modern sefer that's actually useful. A guy made a sefer of mitzvahs, 3 small krachim, not very big, where he brings 11 shitas of Rishonim. 11, I told you this once before. 11 shitas of Rishonim about how you have Tayag mitzvahs. Tayag mitzvahs is a content, it's a Gemara. 11 shitas, it's amazing. At the back of the 3rd krach has a chart. He goes through the Chumash from Bereshis till the end, and he lists every mitzvah you can have from every pasuk. And the total is over 1,200 mitzvahs. In other words, between all the shitas, you have twice as many mitzvahs as the cheshbon we have. And he shows you every shita what he holds. Yeah, mitzvah. It's geval. It's very geschmack to have it all put together in one place. Mikputs. He brings all the shitas. And the way I understand it is, there's officially 11 shitas or 12 shitas Rishonim, but basically it's really 2. It's really just the Bahag and the RaMbaM. But the Bahag has people who go along with him, like the Rasag, like the Shleim Be'evin Gavriel, and they differ 1 or 2, like the Chinuch disagrees with the RaMbaM on 1, that kind of thing. So there's basically 2 shitas. And they have another division. We divide mitzvahs into 2 categories. Mitzvah say, mitzvah leisas. He divides them into 4 categories. Einshim, I forgot what they are. He has 4 different, he divides mitzvahs. It's a whole different division of mitzvahs. Completely different. The RaMbaM came after the Bahag, and he quotes it. So the Bahag says, you cannot say Amunah is a mitzvah, because it's a davar apashit. In other words, the same thing that Ababanal says, without using all the philosophical twists, you were going to say.
Yeah, you could have be commanded to have Amunah. Your father told you that there's Hashem. You don't believe it, but...
I know, but the Eibishter didn't tell you there's Hashem. Your father did.
Yeah, your father told you.
And your father's telling it to you not as God, but as an organic thing. Yeah. In other words, your father's teaching you there's some things that are very obvious, but even things that are obvious, someone has to show you. So I'm showing it to you. And you're not believing your father because your father's an authority figure, because he's stronger than you and you're afraid he's going to punch you in the nose. You're believing your father because your father's not going to lie to you. Your father's not going to trick you. And what your father's going to tell you is true. And by you, it resonates. So it's not a mitzvah. Right? I'm starting again 4 lines from the bottom. Based on what we discussed. On the idea that there is a God. That there is a God is not a mitzvah. It's a simple fact. Look at his words. You could see it clearly. Everybody sees it clearly. So if that there is a God is not a mitzvah because it's obvious, when Hashem comes along and gives us mitzvah numero 1, what's the first mitzvah? To understand Hashem intellectually. Mitzvah hanal, which is this mitzvah. So you cannot say that the first mitzvah is that Hashem exists, but what Hashem is, right? Alayes mitzvah you say is barach, to understand the nature of the Eibishter's mitzvahs. Merumam v'niskav, it's exalted and uplifted. L'mayla mala me'asaga v'achochm bavar, understanding and reach. U'kumei shekasa sh'abariches, as we discussed in the previous mitzvah bariches, and Mistamad is another makkah for this. Now Rabbi say, this is a mitzvah d'oraisa to understand the Hashem with your seichel. It's a mitzvah asay d'oraisa. It's a biblical commandment. It's a mitzvah asay d'oraisa to understand the Eibishter with your seichel. Okay? But what you're really doing is understanding not what Hashem is, you're understanding what Hashem is not. Because what Hashem is, you could never know. You could never know, first of all, because you're not smart enough. And according to us, because he's l'mayla min haseichel, you can't understand intellectually something which is l'mayla min haseichel. I just want to add one diuk, which I've mentioned before. It's one of those RaMbaMs that I push to love. The Rebbe mentioned it in the Fabrenganish, and I saw the Rebbe quoting this RaMbaM. The RaMbaM says a lashon as follows: Kol sheyarbe b'shliles yiskarev elachiyah. When you're dealing with a metaphysical thing, a physical thing, you can say it is a cup. Let's say you're dealing with a malach or a sfire, or a partziv, which is metaphysics. Acharei atev, there's no gashmis, no guf. So you want to understand something that you cannot see, or hear, or smell, taste, or touch. So you're using words and understanding and dimyan, imagination, visualization. So you say a malach is not a neshama. A malach is not this. The more things you say a malach isn't, the closer you come to knowing what a malach is. So the RaMbaM says, the more no's you could say about something, the closer you come to its yes. So you say Hashem has no body. Hashem has no moods. Hashem cannot change. The more no's you say, the closer you come to a yes. But the rule is, you'll only get closer to yes. You'll never reach it. The more negative things Hashem isn't, the closer you come to having a sense of what the Meibishtin is. But what He is, you'll never know. That's the first mitzvah according to the RaMbaM. Because ala yesa lakam mitzvah is not shayach mitzvah, because it's nira ba'alil, everybody sees it. Says the Rebbe last line on the page, v'im ken kum t'chayset hazeh. Bichlal zeh, according to us, and according to the Bahag, and according to the RaMbaM certainly agrees with this. Because the RaMbaM is the one who wrote, you say, there's a mudach chochmis, what's the next word? Leida sheyetza matzirish, not lahamid. So included in that is Hu Yizbarach Poshet B'tachas Apshitas. Hashem is absolutely plain in one, which is how the RaMbaM describes Achdus and Halacha Zayin. Achash Eine Be'erech, top of page 120 now. Kol HaKeichas HaSichlim is not at all measurable to all faculties which have any Shaychas with Seichel, because if he would have a Shaychas with Keichas and with Seichel, Yitachem Leimer HaKavu, we could speak about him having parts, or built the HaKavu not having parts, but in the Eibishter's case, you can't even say that he doesn't have parts. Ke'einim Erech Zeh. Commission is by Sham paid a gimel, but be it Ikir Abayz Yuyin Sham, as it's explained there in paid a gimel in explaining Ikir Abayz. And what is Sham? I guess Sham is the Rebbe's mitzvah tzemach tzedek amanas alakus. I'm not sure, but l'chayre commission got the Sham as I explained in the previous mitzvah amanas alakus. Says the Rebbe Kain, if you approach the inyanim of Yidiyas Hashem and Achdus Hashem the way we're approaching it, you're approaching it this way in Shitas RaMbaM. There's a pshat in the RaMbaM. This is what the RaMbaM holds. That the RaMbaM holds that the first mitzvah is not to know that there is a God. The first mitzvah is to know everything you can understand about that God. Says the Rebbe, Layitachen leimer mitzvahs hayichud al zeh. You cannot say that yichud means Hashem is one. The RaMbaM says exactly that. So Tzemach Tzedek, and again, it's so uncharacteristic of RaMbaM. The whole, you look at the Rebbe's Sichos on RaMbaM, the thing that blows you away most is that it's so glad. When the Rebbe finishes teaching you a RaMbaM, you say, of course the RaMbaM meant this. This is the RaMbaM's words. There's Sichos which are more than the Sichos. When the Rebbe studies the RaMbaM, and when the Rebbe is finished, you say he's pushed in the RaMbaM's head. He was thinking what the RaMbaM was saying. Here's a case was fakert. The Tzemach Tzedek says that RaMbaM doesn't mean what he says and doesn't say what he means. You cannot say that Achdus Hashem according to RaMbaM means that Hashem is one. Can't be. That's included in Yidiyas Hashem according to the way we're learning.
So why did he write it that way?
I don't know. I be'emes don't know. And I want you to know, I'm not qualified to say a day in RaMbaM. I mean, there's very few people who are qualified to say a day in RaMbaM. I'm not qualified to say a day in Tzemach Tzedek either. But the RaMbaM, I mean, what do I know about RaMbaM? But the Tzemach Tzedek is clearly saying what I'm telling you. Why am I sitting here wasting my time saying the same thing over and over again? Because it's so hard to relate to. The Tzemach Tzedek will tell you, not that some yesh l'taretz b'deichik, yesh and a metzias who doesn't care about emes of Torah, cares about his covenant. The Tzemach Tzedek is that Rebbe. He's telling you the truth. Tzemach Tzedek says Ram doesn't mean what he says, doesn't say what he means. Farvos and v'yazeh, I don't know. Im kein le'yitochen le'met, it's impossible to say in Shitas HaRaMbaM that mitzvahs yichad al zeh, that Hashem is one. Ki kvar nichlo zeh, that's already included. B'mitzvahs ha'amunah hana, in the first mitzvah, which is amunah according to our kavan. Ulezeis, and therefore the Tzemach Tzedek concludes, kavanos hazeh HaKadosh, she mitzvahs hayichad hi yichad havai v'elekim. You have to say that what the Zayar says, that Achdus Hashem is havai v'elekim, the RaMbaM holds something like that. Exactly what the RaMbaM holds, I don't know, but the RaMbaM holds something like that. The RaMbaM's Achdus is not that Hashem is one. Okay? And I'm going to stop now. I'll give you a very short shir. Tomorrow I'm going to read also a small shtickle. We're going to read from the 4th line until the line HaMitzvah. And it shouldn't take us long because we already did this in the last Maimed, in the beginning of the last Maimed, but we're going to revisit this. I just want to say we're done with introductions. The first 4 classes were strugglesome, they were hard. I mean, for you they were hard because you don't know Aramaic. For me they were hard because it's very hard to understand how the Tzemach Tzedek explains the RaMbaM. He says, for sure this is Pshat. He starts off with the RaMbaM and Sefer HaMitzvahs. Chachafil, the RaMbaM doesn't say it. At this point, we're going to assume this. In other words, we're no longer going to be visiting this shaila of what does the RaMbaM hold, and why does the RaMbaM say it like this, and why doesn't he say it like that, and all those other things. We're pasha going to learn Achdas. The Maim is pretty long, as you know, right? And we're going to have 3 Achdas. Most of the Maimer, which means the second half of 120, all of 121, all of 122, is going to be discussing the Zayah, Havayolakim, which we already learned in the previous Maimer, so I'm hoping we'll go through it relatively quickly. At the end of the Maimer, at page Samach Beis, page Gimel, we're going to have the Achdas of the Baal Shem Tov, which is an even higher Achdas.
It's a different topic.
Okay.
What's the difference between Adnai and Elikim?
Elikim means to conceal light. Adnai means the godliness of darkness. Elikim means not to let the neshama of the Eibishter be seen in the world. Adnai means the goof of the Eibishter. The Eibishter has no goof.
So Adnai is higher.
Adnai's shadish could be higher. But in terms of Hishtalshus, Adnai is the lowest shem. Okay, now in Lashna Nigle, yeah? And this bemis, this thesis about this also, there's different medrashim. But Adnai means Sha'ata Odin L'Kol Ber Yisach. Adnai means Hashem was the master of the world, and that's it. So the name Adnai is not an Yinatzmi. The name Adnai is Shaykh Al-Elamis. Shem Elikim is one of the Sfiras. Shem Elikim means the Kvayach of the Eibush has a Midah and a Sfira that affects concealment, that affects Hateva, that affects on a deeper level a little bit the personalization of Elikus. But Adnai is Odin L'Kol Ber Yisach. Now there's a Maimer which brings a Medish that says about Shem Elikim, Sha'ata Odin L'Kol Ber Yisach. In fact, I think there's even a Maimer that brings a Medish that says about Shem Havayeh, that it's Odin L'Kol Ber Yisach. But Bepashtus, Adnai is Odin L'Kol Ber Yisach. It's the lowest Shem. Okay?
What's Shakai?
Shakai is, there's 3 taishin in Shakai. Shadai Belakusi L'Chol Beria. I have enough godliness for each creation. I can't tell you about Peh. But there's 3 taichin in Shakai. You have it in the Maimorim. The lowest madrega of Shakai is very close to Adnai and Elokim. Shakai means to limit. Shakai means enough. And there's a 3rd taichin Shakai which is much, much higher. Shakai means Eibush has enough. But enough could mean Lefiyadach Elames. Enough could mean
Shakai means enough.
Beklolus, from the word die.
And what's Tzvakais?
Are we doing all 10 shemis right now?
I guess.
No, it's
Fine,
not.
just,
It's not
just,
fair.
Just Tzvakais.
So tzvakes
I'll ask my father the rest, I guess.
means
Or I'll ask you later.
means assistants, helpers. Tzvakes means basically it's a denotation that has to do with milchama. Basically, tzvakes has to do with milchama. When you're fighting a war, they be just called tzvakes. As the word tzava denotes, an army. Okay, but in Chassidus you have that tzvakes means eisu b'tzava delay, that Hashem is one member of His army. He's in the army itself, but he's the strongest soldier in the army. He's outstanding within the army. And the difference between these translations, whether tzvakes is a name which has to do with milchama, or tzvakes means eisu b'tzava delay, is a very big chiddush in Chassidus, which does not say in Arizal that there's a shem tzvakes and biyah. All the names that Eibush are not tzilas. So tzvakes is Havayah tzvakes and Elokim tzvakes. Tzvakes is Netzach and Heid, a warrior. But there's also a lower tzvakes, how the Eibush is Elokus is in the lower worlds. That in the world itself, Hashem is hidden. And that tzvakes is a chiddush of Chassidus. It's found in Teirei and Pashas Boy. Okay? Now the Rebbe has a lot of Maimorim on Shakai. Look at take it the Mugadik and I'm taking the Maftech and you'll find the 3 taichin of Shakai written there.
Which
Seikman Malukit. So there's either 4 or 6 krachim. In the back of the last krach, there's a mafteich in Yonah. Look on the tzvak, a shaka you'll find. Yeah.
Correction, the chinuch does not quote RaMbaM.
Huh?
Chinuch does not quote RaMbaM here.
Oh, you looked inside. That's helpful. Let me see. Mitzvah Taf Yud Zayin.
He's quoting RaMbaM directly. The Tzemach that is, the chinuch is not quoting RaMbaM.
So the Tzemach is not quoting the chinuch at all.
Sorry, Poshet made a mistake again. Okay, I appreciate the correction. Sure, it's been so many years since I had students that can argue with me. It's such a pleasure.
This
Yom
is
Mizrahi.
Reishamana.
Oh, Reishamana. Okay, another correction.
I have one other small question.
This 7 or 10. Apinigo this 7, apikabal this 10. Give me a piece of paper. Your cousin or your uncle made Hebrew books.
.org?
Yeah.
My father.
Your father made Hebrew books.org, so go on Hebrew books. There's a Kabbalah Sefer which is called Sharei Oira. It goes back 700 years, way before the Arizal. Okay, the Sharei Oira, the entire Sefer, is the Esses Sfiras. It's 10 prakim. Each Perek, he brings you each of the names of the Eibishter. And he tells you, first of all, what Sfira it corresponds to, and also what words in Torah and Chazal are connected to that Shem. It's a very Mesudidik Sefer. It's very sadistic. The Arizal said if you don't have Sharei, you can't learn Kabbalah. It's way before the Arizal. And you don't have to learn the Sefer. Every Perek starts or finishes with a paragraph that has a lot of words. And it connects those words to each one of the 10 Sfiras. And you would find it interesting just to get a basic picture of it. You'll go to Keser, is Ekye, and then there are a bunch of words that are connected to that. The second Perek will be Chochma, be Ko. You understand? You'll get a lot of knowledge, details, fact.
Yud K. All right, yeah. Havaya K, Elkim.
Hashem Tzvois and Elkim Tzvois is Netzchaneit.